She was beaming. Try as I might to wrap my head around her reasoning, I couldn't. Jail enabled Gabi to keep tabs on her stray cat. On the street, when Tom had money, he was gone for several days at a time. But when he was broke, he showed up at Gabi's door, and she never had the heart to turn him away. Well, in view of their upcoming nuptials, I soon phoned Gabi with an offer. Gabi, let's meet at the mall, and you can tell me what you might want for a wedding gift. I want to get something special for you because you are my very best friend. Ever. You can choose anything you want. She answered immediately. I have my eyes set on a set of microwavable bowls. I'll show you. We hung up the phone, caught a bus to the mall. And she pointed to the bowls. These, aren't they great? They were in a set of 4 turquoise blue plastic washable bowls, which were advertised on the packaging as multi-use. They're wonderful. I'm happy to get them for you unless there's something else you have your eye on too. I repeated my offer. I wanted to give her the option of choosing several thoughtful gifts. They weren't expensive. No, this is all I want. Without hesitation, she scooped the pre-packaged box of bowls and marched me to the checkout. I paid for the bowls, and after handing them to her, I said, "Happy wedding. Now let's celebrate. I'll buy you lunch." Over the din of the food court, Gabi gushed. My plans for a happy future are finally falling into place. Thanks so much for these bowls. I know they will come in handy and help me be a great wife to my new husband. It'll be so nice to have sex again. We both giggled. I replied, I hope you'll be very happy. I wish only the best for you, Gabi. I really meant it, even if I objected to her choice of husband. Then Gabi got serious. Esther, now that I'm getting married, I won't be able to hang out with you as much as before. Maybe you should move home to Selkirk and be with your family. I have thought of that, Gabi, I admitted. I even talked about that with Dr. Katt. But after all is said and done, I think I would suffocate in Selkirk. I doubt that I could go back and truly be happy with that choice. It would keep you out of trouble and get you away from Vince. I realized she was worried about me, which is what friends do for each other. But I paused and studied her expression. I didn't say it out loud, but I found myself yelling in my head at her. Vince doesn't steal my bus pass from me. Vince isn't a thief. Vince isn't a petty criminal. Vince has his own home. Vince is a complete gentleman with me, unlike Tom, who's nothing like that by any stretch of the imagination. But I bit my tongue. It was enough to be confident in my own choices. I then became aware of my pursed lips and stern eyes as they met hers. Gabi sat back in her cold steel chair and grinned. She was very pleased with herself. I'm happy, Esther. Tom and I managed not to commit fornication. we are waiting until marriage to have sex. Ah, I'm glad to hear you are happy, Gabi. You deserve to be happy. Deeply happy. You know, I really mean it. And I did. I know you do. Gabi squeezed my hand. So, when Tom got out of prison next, they were married in a private ceremony with the justice of the peace. Since they chose to tie the knot on a weekday, I was working, so was unable to attend the wedding. It's for the best. But shortly after the wedding, Gabi was under a great deal of pressure to confess her sin of secretly marrying Tom, a worldly man. After deliberation, the elders decided that since Gabi broke down and cried during their judicial committee meeting with her, they concluded that she was repentant. As a result, she could not properly be disfellowshipped. Instead, she was publicly reproved. For those who don't know what a public reproof is in JW-ville, it is a lesser form of discipline than to disfellowship, given formally by a judicial committee to a baptized JW who is considered repentant of serious sin. The reproved person temporarily loses privileges of service, like going door to door. Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard to give up. Or commenting at meetings, but suffers no restriction of social or spiritual fellowship within the congregation. She didn't get shunned, in other words. I figure the worst part of being publicly reproved is that it's crushingly embarrassing for the recipient. Because a public announcement is issued in front of the entire congregation, any who knew of the circumstances would learn that the sin was dealt with by the elders. The congregation had to know the elders are in charge. We got control of this. Being publicly reproved meant she did something that shamed the congregation's good name, so members needed to know that the elders had dealt with her. Humiliated the heck out of her. In the minds of the elders, Tom was a worldly man. More than that, Gabi had developed a relationship with him, secretly married him, and then informed the elders after the fact. There was nothing the elders could do. She was married. She was married. The greater sin, from the standpoint of the elders, was that all of this was done in secret from them. Meddling elders. They needed to know everything. I didn't want Tom to know where I lived. I didn't want him coming to my apartment if Gabi were to visit me, sift through my things to see what he could walk away with. It was a sad day. I was losing Gabi as a friend. I didn't even see Gabi again until after I got disfellowshipped. I accidentally ran into her at the mall. She kept a pillar between us. "Are you coming back?" she whispered, her eyes darting around, on the lookout for spies. She meant, "Are you returning to the Big J?" I wanted to run up to her and hug her. I wanted to cry. But I didn't dare show any emotion. I can't let her know I'm upset for being thrown out of the congregation like so much garbage. I wouldn't give that satisfaction to them. I forced a chuckle, sneered. No way, I'm never coming back. A look of disdain came over her face. Tilting her head high, she turned and walked away from me. A pariah. I was a pariah, an outcast. I was caught between a rock and a hard place. It was my time of transition, the choosing between two divergent paths. I had chosen a new path. Gabi hadn't spoken to me since the pillar incident in Zellers. Knowing her, she prayed for weeks after our encounter, asking God to forgive her for her sin of talking to me when she was supposed to be shunning me. A month after my disfellowshipping, I received a letter in the mail with Gabi's unmistakable scrawl. I hurriedly opened the letter, wondering if she was now out too, or if she was pleading for me to come back. It turned out to be the latter. The letter read as follows. My dear Sister Esther, thank you for returning my book. I had a book of hers I had to return. Thank you for returning my book, but the Bible is the only book we really need to be concerned about, the power of life. I just wanted to say I still love you, but this man, he does not love you. He's too in love with himself. You are a toy to him. I know from personal experience, from living for 44, 45 years plus, from being clued in by other people who truly care. I know that if a man doesn't marry you within 1 year, he will never marry you. Never. Period. Why should he? You will never leave him, right? He's got you. Hook, line, and sinker. Satan's got you. And now he bothers you no more because he knows he's got you. Just like Vince, a worm and not a man, knows he's got you, so he'll bother no more to marry you. Sure, he'll drop tidbits of hope now and then, because he, imposter, knows it makes you happy. But it will never happen. And he has his little reasons, which even make sense to you. But if you die tonight, you will turn back into dust, and the memory of you will be forgotten. Even now you are being forgotten. How dare that man say the words, I am Christian? He is a fornicator and a liar, nothing more. I got up at 4:45 a.m. to write this letter because I love you and I miss you, and there's a huge hole in my heart without you, Esty. Your sister forever, I thought, Gabi. P.S. With tears I say goodbye, and remember Lynn? She was my friend before you, and a sister. She had a ring and a date on June 2000, and the guy, for the 4th time, never married her. Oh, they're still together 6 years, but not forever. Look around you, the earth is already on fire. The people are drowning in their own sorrow and disobedience. You know the rest. P.S. I suggest you move to Manitoba. It's the only way. Hold your ground, girl. Ah, Gabi loves me and misses me, I supposed out loud. I love you too, Gabi, but I can't live like you. I tore the letter in half, threw it in the garbage, hesitated, retrieved it. I taped it up and carefully placed it in my jewelry box. I'll post this letter on my blog for anyone who wants to see it. I'll leave the link below. The next time I saw Gabi, Vince and I were in his truck. We rounded a corner, approaching his neighborhood. Suddenly I recognized Gabi walking along the sidewalk. Oh, I sighed deeply. Meet Vince. Are you okay, Esther? Vince queried. Oh, there's Gabi walking the route again in the direction of the psych ward for felons. Tom must be once again incarcerated. Tom and Gabi must be having conjugal visits. I shook my head sadly. Gee, Esther, it seems like they met only a few months ago. Is that right? Or have I just lost track of time? I paused to think, then shook my head sadly. Actually, that's about right. The marriage was a very sudden decision, not to mention some of that time was spent in jail. Vince laughed, then noticed my sadness. Oh, Esther, I know it's hard to lose a friend. He reached over and gently took my hand in his and gave a gentle squeeze. Thanks for understanding, Vince. I wanted him to know his thoughtfulness was appreciated. I added, my life is so much more pleasant with you in it. We swung around the next corner toward his house, and the conversation shifted onto our plans for the evening, dinner and dancing. One part of me was glad that work and dancing were consuming all my time. Busyness was probably beneficial as a means to escape my intense feelings of loss and grief. That and my visits to Dr. Katt. Really, the bus rides to and from work were the only times I found myself being tortured about my religious life and what to do with it. I was so torn inside. My entire world had been ripped away from me after getting disfellowshipped. But torn because I didn't want to go back, ever. During one such bus ride, I began to realize on a deeper level how all the congregation members who I thought were my friends were really false friends. They were only allowed to talk to me if I was a member in good standing. Otherwise, a friendship was not even permitted. Like only platonic friends were possible in JW-ville. Because what if someone you cared about left the religion? How do you just shut your heart off from such a friend? I awoke from one of those sad daydreams on the bus to realize Gabi was sitting across the aisle and 2 seats ahead, just ahead of the rear exit. I could not imagine missing her board the bus, my beloved Gabi, which revealed the depth of my anguish. The bus had just rounded the corner. It was time for me to ring the bell and approach the back door to exit. I paused behind Gabi's seat, and just before stepping off the bus, I commented, just loud enough for her to hear, "Hi, Gabi. I saw you walking by Vince's again. I guess you know. I know what that means." Her body stiffened. She turned her face to the window as she clutched her purse on her lap. The bus door opened, and I stepped out into a cloud of dust. That was the last time I ever saw Gabi. If you like my storytelling, click the like button. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe and click the notification bell to receive an email when I upload a new video. Until next time, bye for now.